reported several migrants were able to escape the facility and are currently unaccounted for.
So criminals at an ICE detention center staged an uprising and escaped into America. And as crazy as that sounds, after word of this jailbreak got out, protesters stormed this facility, yelling and screaming in the faces of federal agents demanding they let everyone inside walk free, even though the people who escaped are some of the most dangerous folks to ever set foot in our country.
We have some dramatic video showing those protesters clashing with ICE agents, trying to block them from entering Delaney Hall. Some people in the crowd were dragging plastic barricades to the gate before police had to clear a path for them. Protesters can even be seen pushing and shoving police officers at times.
Several migrants now, yes, reportedly missing. A manhunt is underway for 4 people who are still on the run after the detainees created a rope out of bed sheets, which they used to descend from their third-floor dorm.
Currently today,
these are some pretty stupid people. You know, that's like anybody who's ever seen the movie The Great Escape. You're in the middle of Germany and you think you're going to just walk out. You're in the middle of America, you think you're just going to walk out, but you're just going to disappear into the ether. No. That's not going to happen. You're going to be snapped up. You're going to be snapped up. 10 grand on your head? Do you even think that another one of your illegal buddies would help you, would not cash in on that? Seriously? Like, are you, like, you're crazy. You're going to get snapped up and you might just get prison time here, then get sent home. Which really, that should be what happens.
52 detainees, 75% of those have committed crimes, been convicted of crime, or have pending criminal charges. So we have.
What kind of crimes are we talking about?
Unfortunately, it runs the whole gamut.
This man rallying outside of Delaney Hall says he was able to connect with a friend who he claims is being held. A man detained who was Dominican says he has a domestic violence case on his record, but denied any suggestion he is an MS-13 gang member.
What difference does it make? Who cares if the guy is a gang member? He's an abusive man. He put his hands on a woman. Get the hell out of our country. Period. Simple as that.
So federal officials have released the names and identities of the 4 people who initially broke out of this place. But what none of the protesters who want everybody in this facility released will admit is that there's a reason these people were there, and that reason is because they're very dangerous. All 4 of them had long criminal rap sheets, which include not only being in America illegally, but crimes like aggravated assault, possession of unlicensed weapons, theft, conspiracy, burglary, and one of the men was even accused of making terroristic threats. Yet the shocking thing is they may not have escaped at all if it weren't for the work of protesters and agitators at this very same facility, who instead of helping keep their communities safe from these dangerous criminals, the rioters and protesters who've come to this place do the exact opposite. They've attacked it. They've staged several demonstrations here, many of which include them abusing staff at the facility while they demand to enter it and tour it just to make sure nobody inside is being treated inhumanely, even though news networks were given a tour of this place about a month ago showing how clean and spotless it is. But that brings us to the real reason this uprising and escape even happened. These agitators, they've been after this place for the last 30 days, and some of them are even in contact with people who are being held inside, who through FaceTime calls can see mobs of activists just outside, staging sit-ins, screaming on microphones, telling the world.
You know, this stuff should not be allowed. To be honest, you know, if this could never happen at a prison, this could never happen at a jail. You could not just protest outside of a jail and cause such a diversion that people are able to escape. You can't do that. These people shouldn't be allowed to do that. You can protest peacefully, but you can't do it like you can't do this. This isn't protesting peacefully. This is called aiding and abetting escape from a federal detention center. You know, I mean, this isn't peacefully protesting. It's downright criminal. It's crime. This is crime. And you know, the harder they hit these morons, the better I feel about it. You know, the sterner the punishment, the better I feel about it, because you know, people, they don't, there's no sense of deterrence anymore. They just think they can do whatever they want, and it ain't so. You know, and they think that most likely because women think they can do anything, and that nobody, how dare you hold me accountable?
How immigration laws are
Look,
a
it's
violation
all
of
women.
people's human rights, and all of this
Did you did you see that a female priest? You know, if you want to make an absolute joke of yourself as a religion, make priests female. That's how you do that.
anti-ICE messaging may have contributed to the riots which took place inside this facility and led to the initial escape. But the people inside this place are so dangerous. If they weren't here illegally, these protesters certainly wouldn't want them roaming around their communities.
These defendants threw Molotov cocktails at police officers. Last Saturday, one defendant hid behind a fence and threw the destructive device at a sheriff's deputy, then ran away. Deputies gave chase and arrested him. That's the video you actually see playing right there.
That's who's being held in facilities like this. These are dangerous people who shouldn't be anywhere in America.
Yeah.
But as you're about to see, these rioters don't care about that. All they care about is circumventing our laws and breaking people out of these detention centers, which have been the focus of their attacks across the country, from Los Angeles all the way to New York City. And as you're about to see, these activists will stop at nothing to liberate people who never should have been allowed in here in the first place.
Officials have been holding migrants facing deportation at Delaney Hall. The
I'm
New
so
York Post
sick of
reports that a manhunt is underway for 4 people who are still on the run after the detainees created a rope out of bed sheets, which they used to descend from their 3rd floor dorm. Earlier in the day, around 3 dozen people held a demonstration outside Delaney Hall protesting allegations of...
So here we've got 4 people inside an ICE facility, and they use bed sheets to escape from their elevated room during an uprising inside this place. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that these are not the law-abiding people who came to our country illegally to improve it in some way. And if you're able to break out of a jail, I'd say that makes you a pretty dangerous person.
Yeah.
And their rap sheets confirm
Goddamn
that 4 of these individuals
right.
have got very serious charges, and one even has terror-related charges. Others are known home invaders. There are weapon charges, and the idea that these are otherwise law-abiding people who were unjustly being held in federal custody is just ridiculous. But listen to what was going on earlier in the day before these individuals were able to escape.
3 dozen people held a demonstration outside Delaney Hall protesting allegations of poor conditions inside the facility. Amy
Well,
Torres,
poor
executive director with the New
conditions.
Jersey
Those
Alliance
aren't
for
poor. They
Immigrants
showed
and
the
Justice,
conditions.
said that
They're
the
just
dispute broke out
bunks.
after meals were delivered late.
One of the volunteers who staffs that
Oh,
line
no.
received a call from inside Delaney Hall. The fight was over the fact that people had not been given food for over 20 hours. When people started protesting over lunch, that's when things escalated with guards inside and the facility went into lockdown.
So here's what's so important about this. Inside the facility, you got dangerous fugitives. Outside, you got people protesting, saying that these dangerous fugitives shouldn't be in there. And the people inside get upset about something, and that incident is relayed to the protesters outside. You see what's happening here? You got mayhem on the outside, mayhem on the
Yeah.
inside. They're being coordinated.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem.
That's
And we've
what it
known about
is.
this for weeks.
That's
Activists have
exactly what
even
they're
shown news cameras how they're doing Zoom calls with fugitives inside this place who are wearing their prison jumpsuits. Fugitives who are able to hear the cries of protesters rallying for their release just outside. Rallying and activism that likely emboldens the fugitives inside,
yeah.
causing the riots and confrontations with guards.
Look how terrible. Look how terrible their circumstances. Oh my God. Look, what a Greek tragedy. They're kept in rooms with windows and sunlight, with bunk beds and sheets and mattresses and pillows. What a Greek tragedy. Gosh, they must be rescued ASAP. They've got to be saved. You know, they're going to be deported. This is temporary.
first place. Think about it. If you believe the entire world is outside trying to free you, you might just try to free yourself. And there's a good chance the people who escaped, who had very dangerous rap sheets including weapon and terror charges, they probably thought they'd be escaping into a sympathetic community full of people willing to help them. But what about the idea that this is a mismanaged dungeon of some sorts and that nobody should be kept here at all because it's completely inhumane? What about that?
The person who ends up in this facility is not just that they crossed the border illegally. You've had to have done more than that, correct?
Right. So currently today, as we're walking through here today, there's 152 detainees. 75% of those have committed crimes, convicted of crime, or have pending criminal charges.
Wow, so as you can see, not exactly nice people in this facility, but as you can also see, it's a pretty nice place.
Yeah.
It's not some horrible,
It looks like a
dank
doctor's
place
office.
where nobody's being cared for and where there is no transparency. The news is in here. And with so many of the people in this place having criminal
It looks like a straight up doctor's office or a school, if you ask me.
records or pending charges, it's not like the 4 people who escaped
got
were
lockers?
some anomaly. Everyone here is dangerous. Everyone here is unfit to roam the general population at will. That's why they were kept in custody to begin with. Yet the protesters are so happy people have escaped from this clean, safe facility. As you're about to see, they hope it happens again.
Protesters outside of Delaney Hall faced off with federal agents Friday night. Demonstrators attempted to block vans from leaving the facility as officials began transferring detainees to an undisclosed location.
What we have been able to see is that there has been buses coming out, sometimes caravans of vans, 6 vans, 7 vans.
The removals followed reports of a fight, delayed meals, inhumane conditions.
He hasn't seen animals treated this way. That's what he's telling the
Oh,
news.
really?
And the news
You haven't seen
rebroadcasts it.
animals
What we just saw in an earlier
treated
clip
this
that
way?
This place is like college dorm rooms.
That's incredible. I have never even seen animals treated this way. Are you kidding me? I've seen people leave dogs on the side of the road with their frickin' mouths duct taped shut. Okay? This is ridiculous. This guy, he don't even speak English. If you don't speak English, you should just get the hell out. I mean, really, you just need to go. Legally or not legally, this asshole needs to go.
Who's right and who's wrong? Obviously, activists understand that nobody's going to want this place shut down if they think it's a nice, clean, safe facility and that the people in here are being treated well. And here they are, throwing themselves at federal agents to stop whoever hasn't escaped yet from being sent to a safer facility where protesters aren't actively trying to break people out. But the truly shocking thing is that in order to scream about this place and protest it, you have to ignore the images and video protesters could show the world. Because remember, there's people inside this place that have phones and are actively communicating with the people outside, doing things like video chat. How come we haven't seen any images of how bad this place really is? How come all we've got is a news piece showing how it's decent and a nicer facility than many American prisoners are even being kept in?
Yeah.
Fraud. These aren't the people you want in your neighborhoods. These aren't the people you want interacting with your kids or in your community, right?
Yeah. Where are we at right now?
So this is our visitation room. So we do have the option for detainees to have family come visit. This is our Imperial Rec.
Soccer field!
They get time out here.
What the hell?
Play soccer.
I'm sorry, but you know something? This ain't prison, guys. These guys are this is a summer camp. This is a summer camp. These guys are having a good old time. This is better than life would be for them in their home. This is a frickin' country club for these guys.
Equipment, yeah.
Yeah, fresh air. This is our medical area. All our detainees come here and they get medical care right when they come in. All detainees have access to the law library. They set up appointments. They can research their case.
I mean, there's computers,
That's
there's a
impressive.
soccer field, there's a doctor's office. Everything is spotless. What do you mean this is some terrible place? And if it's so terrible, how come the people being held here haven't sent real videos of what's really going on to the activists outside so they can show them to the news? That hasn't happened. And the reason it hasn't happened is because you can't put forth the idea that even animals aren't treated this way and that this is a horrible place where everyone is starving and being neglected on a
Because
daily
they're playing
basis.
soccer
being denied due process if the people inside actually happen to be just fine. So what happens? The protesters say everything is here is wrong, even though they can't provide any evidence that that's actually going on, revealing that this is all fake news that's got these folks riled up about situations that don't actually exist. And here's where we get actual proof of this.
Visit and to permit the city of Newark to conduct all necessary inspections.
No se sabe lo que va a pasar con ellos, pero le están levantando.
Saben su estatus ahora mismo y qué va a pasar con ustedes. This man rallying outside of Delaney Hall says he was able to connect with a friend who he claims is being held at the detention center. A man detained who was Dominican says he has a domestic violence case on his record, but denied any suggestion he is an MS-13 gang member.
So here we've got activists outside the facility having video calls with the people inside the facility. You've got cameras at both ends, but we don't have any evidence that something terrible's going on in here, and every time we see the dorm rooms, they look perfectly fine. And let's be real, if people were starving and malnourished, they wouldn't have been able to overpower federal agents at this facility and escape from it. That never would have happened. Another fact that totally blows holes in the idea that people in this place get nothing and are not being cared for whatsoever. Apparently they broke down a sort of retaining wall inside the facility that led to the initial escape. Does that sound like people who've been mistreated and are physically being harmed in some manner?
Right, who are
Democratic Senator Amy
emaciated.
Kim, immigration advocates and faith leaders are demanding answers as families grow frustrated and concerned.
They have posted hours that people can do visits, but still when they get...
I can't stand the fact that they talk about immigrants and these are the people that they're talking about. These aren't immigrants. These are crooks. They are snakes in our country. That's what they are. They're not immigrants. It gives a bad name to immigrants.
I've been here for the last month, and people are confused as to why, when these agitators are shaking the fence and trying to confront agents, why nobody's allowed in for a visitation. I mean, everything possible is being done to make sure the situation at this place boils over, which it finally did, which led to people escaping. The activists are actually in the process of denying the people in this facility their visitation rights because they're blowing the whole thing up, creating a security risk. Of course, the hours at a place like this that's constantly under attack might have to change suddenly. That's not the fault of the people
Wow,
running it.
a
That's the fault
bagpipe.
of the
Did you
people.
see that? A bagpipe player with a stupid ass Palestinian flag on it. Like this, and this is a reason why I'm so happy about the Iran thing. These stupid causes are gone. They're gone. They're disappearing. This Palestinian one, I guarantee it'll be gone here shortly. But the Iranian, we don't have to listen to this horse shit anymore. We don't have to listen to these losers protesting about something that isn't happening anymore.
Throwing themselves in front of every vehicle that tries to come in or out of this facility. But the most shocking thing about all of this is that the people inside, they're not captives. They're not even prisoners. All of them could legally walk out of the door of this place whenever they want, but they refuse.
Climate controlled. It's not as bad as people portray.
Right. Shocked that in everywhere I go in this prison, in this facility, the signs are up. Do you want to return home? And there's a phone number. What happens for a detainee who says, that's what I want to do?
So what ICE will do, along with Customs and Border Protection, will, in a safe and humane way, facilitate their return home. We'll schedule flights for them. They're eligible for the $1,000 stipend, but really their case is in their hands. They don't have to sit here in confinement. They can leave tomorrow if they want.
Did you hear that? Every single person in here, they can leave right now. ICE will put them on a plane.
So they're just in limbo. They're just in limbo. They've chosen limbo. They've literally chosen this. They don't want to leave America. They want to stay here. And the only way they're going to stay here is in this facility. So this facility is better than home. I don't see the issue here. They need to figure out a way to discourage these people from protesting this stuff.
Send them home and give them $1,000. That reveals that the only people inside this facility, which has a soccer field and a gym and computers and a library, are people who prefer to stay there for some reason and don't actually want to leave. These people that escape from this place, these violent individuals, the reason they did that is because they don't want to leave America.
Or they'll go to prison when they go home.
They prefer instead to be fugitives in America somewhere. That's why they left. These are not great, nice, law-abiding people. No. In fact, these are some of the most dangerous people who've ever entered America.
Wow. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. You know, tap the like button and leave a comment, you know, below